And good afternoon. My name is Ryan Bellamore. It is Wednesday, May 3rd, and just after 1:30 p.m. Hi, Frank. How's it going?
I'm fine. You must be on Mountain Time.
I think I am still on Mountain Time. I'm reading where it says Wednesday on my computer, and I still said Tuesday for some reason. So
it happens.
Lots of travel this week, so I'm a little bit off of the schedule here. But we are back to having our conversations. We have a full schedule lined up this month of May. And I will preview the schedule on WhatsUpNewp.com. Maybe I'll just do a couple little calendars so people can tune in and send questions ahead of time. Some of our guests include the likes of Evan Smith. Of course, we're talking with Superintendent Collen Jermain today. Mayor Sy will join us, and you had a couple others.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Okay, that's fine. That is fine.
But it's Will, I'm actually going to try to schedule Guy Dufault. Guy was and I'm pretty sure we can do it. Guy, former chairman of that party in Rhode Island, very much tuned into politics and to labor. Maybe a step outside on what's becoming an unbelievably crowded congressional race. So,
all right. Well, and Frank, I just want to give you a heads
not
up.
Running necessarily, who is?
You're freezing every now and then here. So what I'll do is I'll pull the superintendent up and say
so
hello to her.
Here.
That's it. It is cold there, Frank.
Oh no, not quite. I'm still in Rhode Island.
Okay, I was just checking on you. You froze a little bit. Yeah, did he freeze for you, Colleen?
Yes, he did. He did.
Right.
He did.
Well, we'll be all right. And
okay.
How are you, Superintendent?
I'm doing well, thanks. Welcome back, Ryan. It sounds like you had quite the adventure.
Yes, the beautiful country of Colombia. Highly recommend it to everybody. Don't believe everything you hear out there in the world. Big old wide world. It looks like you yourself, with your Helly Hansen jacket, are prepared. Prepared for the ocean race to come to town a week from today.
We certainly are. Our partners over there at Sail Newport and Ocean Farm, our students will be joining the racers and the sailors and the whole crowd, seeing the exhibits, participating in the festivities. We're all very excited to greet 11th Hour Racing when she comes in.
Excellent. Frank, I'm going to let you take this away here.
All right. I just as long as we're talking about what we're wearing, I am wearing my Baltimore Orioles shirt.
Yes, I noticed that. I didn't want to say anything.
Terrific season so far. How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks, Frank.
Let's start with the question we always ask, and that's, where are we with Rogers?
Wow, we're moving along very quickly. The campus is amazing. Week to week, it's changing very quickly. We have the forms are in for the steel to get ready to accept the steel. They're doing the foundational work, the groundwork, as far as if I have my speakers in right now, but literally Miss Nash and I can hear all the pound and everything that's going on. It's literally 5 to 10 feet right off our office. So we're getting quite the view of the whole construction project. And it's just very exciting. And I do encourage anyone who lives in the area to just come by every week, and you're going to be amazed at the differences that are taking place day to day, but week to week, you just notice it. You can go from one week to the next and you say, oh my gosh, look at all the stuff that's going on.
Is the project on schedule?
Well, we have been delayed. We have been pushed back. Our original goal was to be in on the fall of 2024. Right now, we're looking at a February 25, but we're hoping that we can pick some of that up as quickly as possible, as far as getting all our bids out there, getting our vendors lined up. Our next critical pathway is the electrical work and the electrical design and siting. We have, especially we have switchgear box, we have transformer, and we need to do a lot of coordination with Rhode Island Energy as far as making sure we get that design, we get it in front of us, we get it in front of the city council, And we're still waiting on that. And we're hoping Jacques Alfonso up at Rhode Island Energy, our community center coordinator, he helps us out there. I know our OPM, Scott Kozek and Joe DeSanti, along with Deb Redding, are meeting with him. So it's a lot of coordination, and Rhode Island Energy, we're hoping will be a good partner and help us to stay on track to get that next critical pathway on its way for the new Rogers High School.
Has there been any disruptions to classes so far?
We haven't had, I wouldn't say, so first of all, a very big thanks to Principal Jared Vance, AP Mike Monahan, all his leadership team, and especially the teachers and the students. We're on track. I will say, I think we're all learning to live within the construction field and the construction area and some of the noise we hear from time to time. We have had to do some rearranging. For instance, right now we have going on at this very moment, we have the AP exams, and they'll be wrapping up. They've been starting in the afternoon. They'll be wrapping up around 2 o'clock. AP exams are going through this week and next week. Last week, we had some other testing going on. So I got to say, AP Mike Monahan and his team with Evelyn Folcarelli, John Hano, Frank Newsom, all the teachers are being amazing as far as we're adjusting, and the students, because we have relocated them to other rooms for the testing to get them away from the sound. So that's what's going on. So no major disruptions, fingers crossed at this time, but it's a lot of planning and heads up. And I'm very thankful to Gilbane, Christine Couto, and Bill Hinchy over there at Gilbane. They're keeping us informed as far as schedules, as far as what's going on the campus. So we're all in it together.
Any more budget surprises?
None yet. So again, fingers crossed. We don't have any yet. But again, I think a biggie for us is, as I shared, is going to be the electrical work, what we need to do there, just looking at the transformer, the switchgear. Utilities, we're doing, I know, over in the city in the water department with our folks and our friends from the city. We're working with them to try to coordinate all the utilities where they'll come off of, I believe water's coming in off of Wickham, and then we have to do with the gas, the electrical, the wastewater. So all those things are being mapped out now.
So I know when when the budget shortfall was first announced, there was an outcry, and then came along every other community. and bond issues that were passed last November for considerably more, $350 million or so in Warwick, now are not being seen adequate. So the things that may have had an impact on your budget are having an impact on everyone else's as well, and maybe to a greater degree.
You're absolutely correct. And you were a good predictor of that. You picked up on that right away when when the time of in history, we went out to bid pre-COVID, when we received those numbers, then we get into the COVID, then we get into the escalation. You're absolutely correct. Everyone's starting to see that. So our friends up at the State House, we have some legislation in there to try to help those that are now, I'd say they're not as far in the process as we are. And that is why we are trying to coordinate with them and collaborate as much as possible to see for those that had started their projects and had some of these situations, such as the timeline, delivery timelines being pushed back because of materials, et cetera. If we can have extensions as far as when will we be still eligible for state reimbursements. So Senator Lou DePalma is up there advocating for us, which I'm sure our other reps, Rep. Abney, Lauren Carson, they're all there for us. And so we're looking forward to working with everyone. And Dawn Yoyer, Senator Yoyer, I should remember her as well.
So along with that comes the maybe renewed discussions about regionalization. Where is that all at?
I have no idea. Seems to be crickets right now.
So I know we were talking that they were going to start talking again. Have they?
I know the co-chairs, with all good intention, were trying to set up a meeting. I know my chair has been very aggressive, Becky Bolin, about trying to set up a meeting. I think calendars are very complicated for everyone, and it's been tough to get everyone together. I know in March they were planning on a meeting, April, and now we're in May, and we still haven't met. I'm going to be positive and say that hopefully in the next month or two they will get together, and meaning the committees, and have that discussion on what they want to do, or at least some of the initial conversations they want to have. If anything, right now, I know we do a lot of work with Middletown as it is pre-regionalization conversations, and we're continuing that. Just recently, this past Friday, Saturday night, the Joint Drama Club over at Middletown Cafeteria just had their second play together for this season, and we'll continue that collaboration. We still have our sports teams together. We have our winning hockey team. We'll continue those things. It's interesting, I think, at all different levels, except for maybe up at the central office and, in our administrative levels. We're doing a lot of collaboration and working together now, but I don't know when the next meeting, good intentions. I think it was last time we spoke, I think they were trying for March, and I know Chair Bolin was really trying to schedule that, but Middletown's in the middle of their planning, and they're doing a lot of meetings going on. So I don't know.
And I wonder if that might be an impediment to starting right now. I wonder what would happen if, in fact, there was a lot of noise about discussions beginning again about regionalization, and Middletown gearing up for a vote on their $190 million school project. And whether that, if suddenly you're headed for that vote, and now you have discussions again for regionalization, how that would affect the vote. I don't have an answer to that, but certainly something to think about.
Yep, I agree with you. Something to think about. And again, I have no idea about that one.
So we've talked along the way when we talk about the pandemic and we talk about kids learning remotely. Have we caught up yet, or are we still trying to catch up?
We're still trying to catch up. We have a lot of work to do. We just recently, just a week or two ago, the Department of Ed did come out with our report cards, I'll call them, and accountability reports. Just yesterday, the Newport team met with RIDE and went over that data. So we have a lot of work to do, especially in the area of supporting our L students, students in poverty, and a couple of our subgroups. And what that means for the public is, so we have an overall population of children. And then what happens is they're broken down by ethnicity, or possibly whether they're English as a second language, whether they're free or reduced lunch. And then from there, we look at, are those children doing as well as those that may not have those kind of challenges? And then we look at the demographics to make sure we're teaching to all our children. And as I stated yesterday, we met with RIDE. Internally, my team needs to meet again. We need to digest what we heard yesterday from RIDE. And then from there, we'll probably have a presentation for the school committee, either, again, depending upon schedules, depending upon when is the best time to have that discussion, to keep it fresh, either in June and then we break for the summer, or maybe it's better to have it in August, to share where we are in our accountability, where we are in our strategic plan, and the work we need to do because of the data that we're seeing. We have a lot of work to do, no question about it.
So I looked at the report cards yesterday, and I didn't want to do anything until I had an opportunity to compare Newport with other communities, because that then puts things in a little better perspective for me of how Newport is doing. Clearly, there are a number of areas that need attention, but I don't know that that's any different than any other community at this point.
So there's two ways of looking at it. Our community, I'll take Aquidneck Island. Our communities are very different as far as being here on Aquidneck Island. Our demographics are different, are very different. And the population, for instance, of our L students or students in poverty are there's huge gaps between Portsmouth, Middletown, and then Newport. So what we do a lot of times is we look at like districts that have similar demographics, that have similar population numbers, et cetera. So we look at, as a district, we look at West Warwick, we look at Pawtucket, we look at Central Falls, we look at Woonsocket. We kind of look at a lot, and we look more at urbans to do our comparisons, and that work we still have to do after receiving our own and just digesting our own data. The other thing about Newport, which makes it unique, is we are on an island, and we have communities that are very different surrounding us, yet we do a lot with those communities. So that's another thing we have to think about, some of the uniqueness about Newport. We're a very diverse community too, in comparison to even the like districts. Newport is one of the most diverse, if not the most diverse community in Rhode Island. And that's something I know a lot of people think about when they look at us. They don't think it at first, and then they discover that. I think one of the reasons, the other thing about Newport that's really a great asset is our relationships with our community partners. Newport Public Schools receives a lot of support from different foundations throughout the community. And because of those foundations, we've been able to enable our children to have a lot of opportunities a lot of other school districts do not get nor receive. We probably have one of the highest scholarship post-secondary support systems and grants and scholarship awards than most other districts in the state. So there's a lot of similarities in some ways, and then in other ways there's a lot of unique opportunities for our Rogers students.
I wonder.
I should say Newport students, just not Rogers, because even in the elementaries and middle, we get a lot of different opportunities.
So I wonder if there's anybody who tracks, whether it be the school system or somewhere else, the success students have when they enter into college, whether they find that they're swimming upstream a little bit, or whether in fact they are on a par with other students who have entered their freshman year.
We do have that. We do that, Frank. Our high school team does do that, and we do analysis. I don't have those numbers in front of me, or I haven't looked at them recently. We're kind of gathering where we are right now, and then we sit down and look at, with graduation coming up, we look at the graduation rate. We look at who was successful. We look at our 5 and 6 year students, and then we also look at our post and what's going on there. We have seen improvements, and actually we were cited for those improvements as far as post-secondary. But again, I think I don't know if we're at the national norm, because I don't know for those that are listening or watching this presentation, this conversation, it's tough. Colleges and universities are finding it very difficult to have those 4-year college students. It's not unusual for students to go 5 to 8 years now after they get out of high school.
We had a question from someone asking about absentee rates.
Mm-hmm. Absentee rates. So we did a 10-year analysis, and actually right before COVID, we were doing well. And I know I'm not supposed to do this. I'm going to hop off the screen. I have the report right over there because I was looking at it this morning.
Okay. I'll sing. No, wait, maybe I won't sing. That would not be.
Do not sing.
But no, don't sing, huh? Hey, Ryan.
Hey, how's it going?
Oh, it's going okay. How are your absentee rates?
Well, I missed a couple days last week. So my absentee rates personally are not well in April.
All right. So, well, let's find out what they were in Newport.
And Colleen, I think when you ran over, you muted yourself, so you'll just have to unmute yourself.
Did, thank you. I forget when I unplug it automatically.
It's okay.
I guess that's so you can't hear what I'm saying after I get off the screen.
Yeah, about you, Ryan.
Yeah. How about me? Correct.
Okay. Let me find that. Yeah, I was looking at all these. So I actually asked Annenberg to do a 10-year analysis on the district and how we were doing in certain areas. And I know your audience is going to be like, oh, this isn't helpful. But so this right here, it's very hard for you to see. I'm going to put it right there. That's the state trends. And the line is COVID. That's when COVID hit.
Yep.
And then you'll see the state, you'll see different areas going up, okay? And those are the high school, middle school, and elementary. Elementary is on the bottom, and high school's on the top. That's state, okay? Here's Newport.
I'm getting a headache.
Yeah, I know. So what happened was you can see the high school was doing really well, and it was going down. And then you can see even post-COVID, and it's still, but then we shot back up, and we're looking into that as to the why. Middle and elementary did go up after COVID. So we're still focusing on that, working on that. We are seeing a little, we are monitoring it daily. It is improving this year, but this is old data. But that's what happened, and that's what's going on. Absenteeism is still a challenge. It really is. And not only in Newport, it's hitting all school systems everywhere nationwide. And that's why I really think we have to study carefully what's going on in our schools. And why is it that our kids don't want to come to school? That's the bigger one. And is it barriers, or is it's not just the place that engages them and gets them to where they want to be?
So how did you measure absenteeism when you were remote?
We had
could a kid just check in the morning and then just go wander off for the day and still be listed as in attendance?
Well, it was different for different levels. For the elementary level, they were right there on the screen with the teacher. So most of them had the children right there. They knew if the children were there, not there, or whatnot. Most we did ask show themselves on the screen. There were some circumstances where they didn't. At the high school, they checked in at every class. At the middle school, they came in at certain times of the day. So it varied at different times, but it was mostly a check-in with a visual on the screen. Sometimes it was a parent sending an email. It varied. It wasn't the same across the district.
How are we with graduation rates, and what the graduation rate will be this year?
Our graduation rate is going up. I think we're at 84%, and we're going up. We did see a dip again. I think it was right before COVID, but we also knew why we saw that dip. We had an influx of children that came in at a certain period of time between the ages of 16 and 18. So Rhode Island has a compulsory law rule that all children must stay in school until they're the age of 18. It used to be 16, and that law changed, wow, I think it was back in 2013. And it was literally at the end of one of those general legislative sessions in June. And then when school started, okay, you can't leave when you're 16 now, you leave when you're 18. So schools weren't really prepared for that shift. When, now you have 16 to 18-year-olds that may not find their school is their thing, and they prefer to go out to the world, check out a job, or maybe do something else, or go for the GED. But schools are required to do that. So it's a challenge, especially at the high school level these days.
So I was looking at some Gallup polls. Gallup polls showed a number of areas in terms of people's perception of education, schools, teachers over a period of about 50 years. And it was quite interesting to see how, while the public still perceives education and teachers in a positive light, how those numbers have changed over the years, and there seems to be more skepticism about schools and teachers and education in general. And again, it's perception, not reality. And
Right.
how has that impacted teachers as they decide whether to continue in the profession? And how has that shaped some of the curriculum that that schools are developing and putting in place? And you can answer that in a sentence. No, I'm only kidding.
I think it has changed. I think technology has a lot to do with it. I think we're learning you don't have to necessarily be within the four walls. I think the communities are bigger than they were in the past, where when you got to know your friends and your neighbors, you had to go to school every day. You don't have to do that anymore. You can still be in touch with your friends and not necessarily be at the school. Because of technology and the access to information at any time, or I should say the access to most likely anything you want to find out about, you can use your phone, you can Zoom in with your friends, and you can learn online. And that has changed for some the way they think about learning and they think about school. At Rogers, for instance, or I'll say at most of our schools, at all our schools, we encourage the importance of after-school clubs, being involved on a team and sports, developing outside interests beyond the classroom and the four walls, because that is what shapes the whole person. And I think as we move forward, and we're seeing, especially with our design and our new high school, we're realizing, just looking at our technology plan today and looking at how we want to deliver instruction, it's not like when I went to school, when you went to a classroom and a teacher was there, you all sat, you listened, and maybe it was the talk at the chalkboard, or maybe you sometimes get into small groups, but it goes beyond that now. So I think that helps to change people's thoughts and thinking about what school's all about. And what, and it's not a reflection on teachers. It's just a reflection on the changing times. And with it, it's very challenging to be a teacher. And at the same time, you are expected to deliver a content of material to a group of people that may not understand why it's important when they see all these other possibilities that can happen without that classroom experience.
Speaking of teachers, what does it look for next year? Are we expecting a large drop-off, or do you think things are going to be stable?
I believe all of us are going to have a lot of challenges next year, just in the fact that the amount of emergency certified people we had to support in order to fill the classrooms with teachers. I don't see a lot of change as far as who's in those programs right now, as far as getting their teaching certificate. I do know for Newport, as I've mentioned before, we've taken and we are continuing to take different initiatives and steps to implement our own programs. So we have our own homegrown teachers, whereas those that are paraeducators in our schools now that may want to become certified, we have the TA to BA program, and we are trying to encourage more of those that like being in school with kids and like kids and want to contribute more. We're encouraging them to become part of those programs. We're also trying as best as possible to find foundations and others, so that my big thing about any of these type of programs, I don't want a bunch of people that get certified and we're excited to have in the classroom, then have this huge debt. So that's something we're trying to avoid as well. We're working with Salve Regina University here as far as getting people certified, and also our own students who are interested in teaching and education. providing particular grants to them to help support, especially their first years. We continue to look to other, I'll say, nonprofits and foundations that are doing this work as well. I know Dennis Lipke, part of the Big Picture, and Collen Howard, part of the Equity Institute. We're working with them to make sure we can recruit as many teachers as possible, qualified, smart people. And we want to make sure that when we do hire these people, we hire as many people as possible that look like our students. And so our students can relate. So it's a work in progress. Actually, next Friday, I think it is, or next week, I don't have the date off the top of my head, RIDE is holding a job fair for teachers. And that's going to be held, it's the first ever, I think it's at the Crown Plaza. So we're encouraging people to attend that. And we're hoping, and my own HR director with one of my other directors is going to attend that as well to represent the Newport Public Schools to see if we can recruit people that are interested in going into the teaching field. So,
I have 3 more quick questions, maybe. One, are we all set with all employee contracts?
No. They're all up. They'll all, I'm going to have a busy summer. They're up this summer. And we're going into negotiations. Probably the next time I'll be speaking with you, I'll be in negotiations with both unions.
So we're talking the teachers union. They are AFT or NEA?
They're NEA. And then
NEA.
I have my Council 94. So
Okay.
that's my support staff. So I have both.
Well, good luck with that. It's always a fun
Thank you.
time.
Yeah, no, we'll make it. We'll make the best of it.
I used to negotiate for the Providence Newspaper Guild and also the Woonsocket Newspaper Guild and the Pawtucket Newspaper Guild. And so my trick was is that I'd wear a union rabbi hat when I go into negotiations. Sometimes it worked.
That's good. I'll call you if I need any pointers.
There you go. Budget, that's all set?
Not yet. No, we have submitted. We've had very good preliminary discussions with the city manager and city finance director. But as we know, it's a city council decision in the end. Newport, the school department is not presenting until Monday, May 22nd. So we'll be before them then. And then I'm pretty sure the vote process they go through. So shortly right after that, they'll have the reading of the budgets and hopefully it gets passed.
I'm just going to give you a line you might want to use. When I know some of these communities talk about level funding, which you're allowed to do on a state by the state. You can't decrease a budget, but level funding is a decrease because you have contracts to fulfill.
That's right.
You have electric bills to pay. And if you level fund, just make sure that everybody agrees to also stay with the same salary and benefits, same electric bill, then you're level funded.
Yeah, I agree. I hear you. You bring up a very good point that we sometimes have to remind people that if we are level funded, that doesn't mean everything else doesn't go up.
And my last question is one that's not just related to Newport, but really to all schools. And we keep hearing with every horrific shooting incident, we always have this cry come out that we should arm teachers. Teachers should be allowed to carry guns in the classroom. Can I get your reaction to that?
I believe if there isn't any guns present, we won't have. If there aren't any guns present, we won't have to worry about any mass shootings or anything like that. In the sense of something happening by accident, what comes into the school, that's another story. But that's all I'll say on that.
That's okay. I understand that. And Ryan, I know you're not on the screen. You have any questions before?
I am present, Frank.
What's that?
I said I am present. I am here.
There you are.
There
no,
he
that's
is.
all the
Amazing.
questions I had.
It's like magic, though. It's really like magic. You go away, then you come back. I mean, I don't know. That's incredible.
Well, we haven't done our segment in a little while, so I'll throw it to the superintendent. Couple good things happening.
Oh, we've had a lot of great things happening. We had the play last week. We've had, let me see, we had a culture fest that was fantastic at Thompson Middle School on Friday night. We had the grade 8 French class visit yesterday, our culinary class, and they created a French meal for our students. Our baseball team is racking up the wins along with our track team. The girls softball is doing well. Lacrosse is going forward. Let's see, we had honors night last night. Oh, that was great. Juniors that were inducted into the Honor Society, and our seniors received their gold, I don't know what they're called, sashes, to recognize them as honor students. There's a lot of great things going on. And as I said, our testing is underway. Some may not think that's great, but the students are doing well, and we're getting a lot of that done. Let's see, we have the building projects moving forward. We have it's great. At Pell School, Mary Sheehan, and I'm not going to remember the other teacher. The two of them are doing an after-school girls running program, and they're taking advantage of the new bus loop, and that's their new track. So they go out and they run, and they had teachers run with them last week. And so teachers joined them, and they ran around the loop, and then they ran over to My Antinomy Park. So we've got the girls doing a lot of running. And for those of you that don't know the history, Marion Sheehan's dad was a great cross-country coach here at Rogers High School. So she's got it in her DNA to keep everyone running. So that is great. Let's see. It's May. A lot of activities are happening. The school building committee's next meeting will be on May 15th, Monday, May 15th. And we'll just keep plugging along on that project.
And I just got a notification of a Newport City Council workshop. It actually just came in. Budget overview, school department. Newport City Council will host a joint workshop with the school committee, a budget overview, school department, May 22nd at 5:30 at Innovate Newport.
That is correct.
Those who care about some of the things we talked about or want to learn more or hear more, Innovate Newport on May 22nd at 5:30. And they've been doing all these workshops on different parts of the budget. And school department is up on the 22nd. It will be a joint workshop with the school committee.
That is correct. And then on the 25th, we're hoping to have the city council and the school committee on the site down here at Rogers. They'll take a tour, and we'll kind of give a recap of where we are on the school building project. But we'd like them to come down, put a hard hat on and their jacket, and walk the grounds and take a look at what's going on. So we're hoping that happens on May 25th.
I've heard that some of them might not need a hard hat because they really have hard heads.
Better than you than Colleen or I, Frank.
Thank you for informing us.
Colleen, we appreciate the extra time today. I know we're running a little over. You're very busy. Okay. And we look forward to talking to you in a couple weeks.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. And welcome back. All right. Take care, Frank.
Thank you very much.
Care.
Yep. Bye-bye.
That is Colleen Jermain, Newport School Superintendent.
Frank, Council, I was only kidding.
Yes. All right, Mr. Prosnitz, what is your big takeaway out of all that?
Well, I thought there were a lot of things. I think this report card and I looked online yesterday at Rhode Island Department of Education, and I hesitated to do anything with it because I really want to compare the Newport report card to some other communities, which would give me a better perspective on how well we're doing in Newport. But I thought there were areas that, and I think the superintendent pretty much indicated there are areas that need work. Why? I think she also alluded to that in the fact that we're still trying to catch up from the pandemic.
That's it. And compared to the last time we talked, which it is now May, so our last conversation would have been in March, It seemed at that point that there was some conversation still brewing with regionalization, but it seems like they may have over the last 30 days kind of dissipated a little bit.
So here's what I'm wondering, and I and I thought I said it, but I'm seeing a lot of chatter on the Middletown website about this $190 million bond for a combined middle and high school. And then I go to the school committee, I see much of similar type of chatter. So clearly what it appears, and it also seems to me that nobody is taking it as a slam dunk, and that they're really working to and trying to generate excitement for the bond issue. I wonder what happens if you inject into the middle of this that that regionalization talks have restarted, with people remembering what kind of dollar impact regionalization would have had on a school project from a much greater reimbursement from the state, and whether that creates additional confusion in a process that they might want it to be much cleaner, get through that, and if regionalization talks renew after that. In fact, they haven't put shovels in the ground at that point. They would have gone through a vote that would have allowed them to proceed, and then maybe that's the time they want to do that. I don't know. I'm just speculating.
Speculating. You know what that says sometimes.
Well, no, that's another word. That's assume.
We're going to get a schedule together of conversations we have coming up in May. We kind of previewed them at the beginning of this conversation, but we will be chatting with the mayor of Newport this month, Evan Smith from Discover Newport.
Next week, I think.
We will have Rhode Island Treasury.
Oh, that's right. Oh, I forgot. Yeah.
And let's
General
see
Treasurer
here. And a couple other conversations coming up here as well. We got the mayor a couple times and some other good chats. And Colleen, Superintendent Collen Jermain joins us at the end of each month on the final Wednesday of every month. So she'll join us in just a couple weeks. And
I'll just chime in that she never dodges a question. And so we really appreciate her coming on.
More often than not, we have to move her on the schedule because of stuff that we have going on. Then she has to move. I think she's only moved once.
Always very, very cooperative.
All right, Mr. Prosnitz. Well, thanks for bringing us this chat, and we will
nice
do
of
it
you.
again soon.
Nice of you to stop by.
Thank you very much. That is Frank Prosnitz. On behalf of Frank, all of us here at WhatsUpNewp, I want to thank Newport Schools Superintendent Collen Jermain for joining us today. If you missed any portion of this interview, want to watch it, want to share it, all available on WhatsUpNewp.com. And I will turn it into a podcast, and I'll share this video in our newsletter in just a short while here this afternoon. So sign up for our free newsletter, and you'll never miss a thing from us. Thanks for watching.